Many thanks for choosing us. Investigations into the case involving the two suspects arrested in connection with the murder of the former Member of Parliament for Buakwa North, JB Dankwa, will be reopened. The two, Daniel Asiedu and Vincent Bosso, were discharged today after the state attorney announced at an Accra High Court that the trial will not continue. Let's take you back to how it all started. Now, Joseph Akable has been following the matter. He will join me in the studio soon, and we'll also bring you the package of how it all started. But let's move on to other stories. Nearly 100 residents rounded up, many more fleeing, and there's no mercy for anyone as intense and sustained military operation continues this afternoon in Denchor-Boase in the central region to find those who joined in the lynching of a young military officer by the residents yesterday. Captain Maxwell Mahama of the 5th Infantry Battalion was attacked while he went jogging at dawn. He was allegedly stoned and burned by the youth of the area who mistook him for an armed robber. But that military operation appears to be hampering police investigation into the matter as commander for the area demand a withdrawal of the troops. We'll hear from the police shortly, but this afternoon a high-powered military delegation led by the Army Chief of Staff is also in that town on a fact-finding mission. Well, the military is not taking this matter lightly. We understand men, women and children have fled the town. Those who remained have been rounded up in that operation. Let's go live now to the town and speak to Ohiming Teria, who is following this. Ohiming, tell us what's happening in the town right now. Hello, Ohiming Teria, you are on the pulse. Hello, Ohiming Teria. Well, it looks like we're not getting Ohiming Teria on the line. We'll try and put him back on the line and get some live updates from Denchor-Boase, where some mob lynched an army officer, and this afternoon the military are not taking it kindly. The police are also there and they are conducting their own investigations as to what led to the lynching of the military man. Ohiming Teria, if you can hear me, what is happening in the town right now? All right. We're still trying to reconnect with Ohiming Teria, but as you may know, we woke up this morning to hear of the military man, Captain Mahama, who has been lynched. He was mistaken for an armed robber, and so the people lynched him. And the military have deployed so many men there, and it continues this afternoon in that area, and it's in the central region, to find those who joined in the lynching of the military officer. We're told that the police are also conducting their investigations, but they are unhappy that the military is interfering in their investigation. Their complaint is that because of the military presence in that area, people are fleeing from the town, and that will affect their investigation. As to people who have some information for the police, may not be available to give that information. But this morning, members of parliament were also unhappy about this event, and they're calling for thorough investigation into the matter to bring the perpetrators to book. We can hear from them.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate event, unfortunate incident that happened, and I want to say on authority that it seems we are turning the country into lawlessness. People are taking the law into their own hands, and there are no circumstances will somebody see anybody thinking even the person is an armed robber. Let's take it that the person is even an armed robber. Nobody should be able to take the law into his or her own hand by meeting this kind of instant justice on innocent people. A soldier jogging around 8:30 a.m. Under no circumstances should this thing happen. So it's just unfortunate, and I'll call on the authority to establish the fact out of this particular incident. Tagri, etc. From January till now, we had a lot of so many incidents happening. It's not right for a country like Ghana.
The extent that it's been linked with the Galamsey fight and everything, doesn't that even heighten the need for more concerted effort to help deal with it?
Yeah, It is. You see, this Galamsey fight, there are two things. I don't know whether we are fighting the environment, we are trying to protect the environment, or we are fighting the people who, or operators who do not have the license. We have to know the distinct between the two. If it is so that we are fighting those who do not have the certificate in doing this, then we have to look at it from a law perspective. But if it is the environment, then we can also say that the giants in the industry, especially the Angogo, etc., they are also polluting the environment. So if a soldier, according to reports that we are hearing, it seems the soldiers are there to protect the Galamseyers. Again, some are saying that they are there to prevent them from operating. So we don't know which is which. But as it is, be it as it may, we have to fasten up the call for this Galamsey operation to stop in the country.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Our parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku Gakpo joins me in the studio. Good afternoon, Joseph.
Hi.
Obviously, the members of parliament are not happy about this. How do they want the issue handled?
Well, so the one I spoke to a while ago is the member of parliament, Fashaiman. He's also a member of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. Mainly, it's been members of that committee who've been reacting to this because it involves a military man and all of that, and they are a little concerned. They think that we need to get to the bottom of this particular incident and ensure that the perpetrators are brought to book as much as possible. They are worried about how we're getting very conflicting accounts, some linking it to the Galamsey menace, some claiming he was a suspected armed robber and everything. They think that what is needed currently is a very thorough investigation. But again, they are asking for calm on the part of military officials and the military high command, particularly the soldiers who are on the ground at the moment, and they are repeatedly making the point that they think that what should be done is the rule of law taking its course, and the military high command and even the police ensuring that they use due process to bring the people involved to book, so no high-handedness.
Gakpo, let me have you hold and speak with Ohime Interior, who joins us back on the phone line. He's now in the town. Tell us what's been happening in that town right now. Ohime Interior, if you can hear me, I'm asking, paint a picture of what exactly is happening in that town.
Yes, for now, the story remains the same. Since morning, the town has been deserted by many of the residents of Densha, Abuase. So the military has maintained their presence here and managed to pick up several people whom have been camped at a particular spot here at the Densha Abuase community. But a while ago, the Major General William Azure Ayamdo, the Acting Army Chief of Defense Staff, and led other senior military officers, as well as the Regional Police Command to the community, and also visited the crime scene. And I spoke to Major General William Azure Ayamdo, and he said that indeed he was very sad because he had lost one of the fine officers who was lynched for protecting life and property by the very people whom he was sent to protect. And he says it should be a sad day for Ghana Armed Forces and also the community, because the community has been involved in killing people who were there to protect them. So he says he expects speedy investigations from the Ghana Police Service after handing over 3 people believed to be connected to yesterday's killing of the military officer. And beyond this, he says the people have been expecting reprisal attacks from the armed forces. But he says, yes, that has been the thought of Ghanaians, but that will not happen. And he has assured Ghanaians and the residents of Densha Abuase that there won't be any reprisal attacks. Once you are not connected to the incident, you should feel free to visit the community and go about your normal duties. And I also spoke to the Central Regional Police Commander, DCOP Ampabini, and he said, yes, police will do everything within their power to adjudicate the matter speedily. But he says, for now, the issue has been referred to the regional police headquarters for further investigation. So all those who were arrested and picked up at the Densha Abuase will be sent to Cape Coast, where the regional CID will take over the investigation. So it's been the same old story. People have deserted the community.
Ohime, we understand there are parallel investigations going on, a clash of police and military probe into the matter. At what point are they meeting each other?
I asked the Major General William Azuri Ayamdo, the acting Army Chief of Defense Staff, and he says, yes, the military is collaborating with the Ghana Police Service. But this time around, those who were arrested have been handed over to the police. So it means that the military will play a complementary role to support the police in their investigations. At the scene, some items were picked. For instance, the pieces of the bent cloth of the deceased military officer was picked, as well as the block that was used to lynch him was also picked, and a few other belongings of the deceased. So he says, yes, the military will be playing complementary role to support the Ghana Police Service to conduct the investigation. So I'm not sure this is some sort of parallel investigation, but they are doing this in collaboration with the Ghana Police Service.
And how have opinion leaders in the area been reacting to this event?
Everywhere we pass, especially the acting Army Chief of Defense Staff and his entourage pass, we saw people expressing their opinion on this. People have been condemning the act of residents of Densha Obuasi as being barbaric. There are several words that they have used to describe the people, and they think that they did the right thing. It was a wrong decision that they took to lynch somebody who was there unprovokedly. So that is what the people have been saying. But beyond this one, I intend to speak to other opinion leaders of this particular area, especially the District Security Council headed by the DCE, because a while ago I was told they held an emergency meeting which preceded the acting Army Chief of Defense Staff visit. So definitely we will be speaking to people who matter in this issue and find out from them what they make of the whole incident.
All right, but do we know what's going to happen next after here?
I think the military will continue to maintain their presence at Densha Obuasi. I'm not quite sure when they will vacate or leave the community because the people who have been picked, there were a lot of them. They have been grouped into two, the male section and that of the female. So 3 males were picked up from out of the lot, and they are the people who are accompanying the regional police commander and his entourage to Cape Coast. So I believe that right from here, the police will want to kick-start the investigations in earnest and prosecute all those who are involved.
All right, many thanks to your humanitarian. I will come back to you in our subsequent bulletins for more updates on this. But who is this man, Captain Mahama? We know that as he was growing, he wanted to be a military officer, and he finally became one. And his father was a military officer too. Yes,
and his grandfather as well, we are told. So it looks like he comes from...
it's a chain of military officers.
Exactly the case. You know, a family where a lot of them are military people, and so they get interested in it as they grow up. We understand that he was actually due for promotion from the rank of captain to the rank of a major. Right. That also didn't happen even before his death. He's a married man. He has 2 little kids, one the aged 5, the other aged 3, indicating that he has a very young family. You understand that he's also been in education, updating his educational status at the University of Ghana recently, and that he was actually due for graduation even at that level upon the completion of the course and his thesis and everything. And unfortunately, this sad bit also just came into that. So
members of parliament want to push for this agenda. They're not relenting on their efforts at all. How do they intend to do that?
So they are, first of all, waiting for the preliminary investigations that will be coming from the level of the police and even what the military is seeking to find when it comes to this. When I spoke to some members of the Defense and Interior Committee, I put a very direct question to them, asking whether this is something that they would be summoning the Minister for Defense or the Ministry of Interior to come respond to questions on. And they made the point that, well, it's something that we should hold on for now. They'll take a decision on that subsequently. They first want to get the outcome of the preliminary investigation because they think that the conflicting nature of the stories that are coming is a little worrying and it's not helping the situation. So they would want to get an initial briefing and understanding of what exactly the situation was, and that would let them decide on what the way forward should be in terms of maybe, you know, bringing other officials before them to respond to questions relating to this.
But what was the mood in the house? You visited the family house earlier today. What was the mood?
It's it was a very sad atmosphere.
I can imagine.
He's someone who a lot of people living beyond where he lives in Bemakam, the Arakan officers mess appear to know. And so, you know, you see people in conversations all over Bemakam about him. Exactly where he lives itself. Well, there were a number of people there when I went there. I had the opportunity to meet the wife. I met some other members of his family. They are struggling to come to terms with this. Right there when I was there, you know, conversations were ongoing, and some of them were asking other family members to reassure them that this story that we are hearing, you know, about him being dead could not exactly be true, but it looks like they are now coming to terms with the reality of it. This is...
we're told that the mother of this Captain Mahama lives in England, and earlier the uncle didn't know how they were going to break the news to her. Are you aware? Do you know whether she now knows of it?
Not exactly. From the initial understanding I got when I visited in the morning, the indication was that there was going to be an official briefing of the family by top hierarchy members when it comes to the Ghana Armed Forces, and they were expected to pay a visit to the house earlier in the day to go brief the wife, the mother's family, the father's family, all those who will be gathering at Bemakam today, and then they will let them know so that then they can pass the information on as official notice to them from the military high command that your son has passed on in line of duty.
And how is the wife coping with this situation? I'm sure it's a very pathetic moment.
Virtually the entire family is quite distraught, you know, about the situation at hand. Other people have come around trying to console them and everything. And well, to a very large extent, they think that it's God who would actually help them through all this, because it's a very difficult moment for all of them.
I'm not sure the children know about it, or
so
probably the 5-year-old could be told.
These are very young ones. When I visited the home earlier in the day, I was told that they had actually left for school, one way or the other, despite all the activity, in order to get them out there so that then they are not too much involved and they don't, you know,
get to know what exactly is happening.
Yeah, so they have to be sent to school earlier in the day, but I don't know what's happening now. Maybe they are back, maybe they've gotten to know.
Wow. Thank you very much, Opoku Gapo. May his soul rest in peace. The conversation is still on. Very soon I'll be joined by the police to talk about what the police is doing about this whole thing. This is not the first time we've seen mob action. It's been here with us, and we've complained a lot of times why that should happen. Why should people take the law into their own hands? We're getting to know why. What could be accounting for this? We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get the details. We are aware of citizens' arrest, but how the public or the mob became so powerful to be lynching people they suspect to be armed robbers or criminals, we don't know how it all began. Joining me in the studio is ASP Efia Tenge, who is Accra Region Police PRO. Good afternoon to you. I mean, there could not be a better time to have you in the studio. How does it feel, or how does it come across to you hearing the news that a military officer going to protect some people ends up dying in their own hands?
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, this incident got to all of us yesterday evening. And before I even continue, may I express my deepest condolence to the family and to the military and all the deceased members of the late Captain Mahama. It is very sad, you know, and still I cannot come to terms with it. Every minute when I remember, it still gets me sad and very unfortunate. We continue to talk about this, and anytime we have an incident like this, we address it to the media, stakeholders, and civil society. Everybody talks about it. And when it goes, that's the end of it, until we see another one resurfacing again. It is very bad. And for now, I can say all of us in the service, the security sector, the police, where I especially belong, when we heard about it, in fact, it was difficult for all of us. But it had happened. What can we do? Going forward, I believe that we have to address the issue. We have to talk about issues that would seem addressing it, so that at least, even if it occurs, we should minimize it. But the rampant nature, the occurrence there and there, from here, one place to another, the sensitization goes on, we keep on talking about it, and the next minute another one resurfaces. It is very appalling, and it is something that we must all condemn.
There are concerns that over the years, when people engage in these kind of mob justice and the police go in and we really don't see much from the police, and that could be the reason why we're seeing this recurrence.
Yes, there's a school of thought that one of the motivating factors in mob justice, which of course even the term I disagree with. I don't know why it should be called mob justice. What is the justice
because
here?
There's no justice.
This is mob injustice. To me, it should be reframed, and at least if we say mob injustice, that is more preferable than what we say mob justice. Somebody murdered in this way, and we say justice. No, I think that it has to be changed in a way. But I can also see a lot of indiscipline in our society these days. Why do we have a lot of indiscipline among some members of the society? The mob justice we continue to talk about, to me, I also see it as a deviation of the legitimate social norm, and also it is a violation of national and even international conventions for somebody's rights to be trampled upon, and also somebody not having fair trial or fair access to the criminal justice system. So people do the things they do, and they have a cover-up. They know that, oh, I have this uncle, I have this person, so even if I am arrested, or even if I am found, at least I'll have somebody going on my behalf to cover me up. It is high time people who commit such crimes, whenever we get them, we have to let them out, so that they face the full rigors of the law. If we continue to cover up on any kind of criminal activity of this nature, not just this one, anyone that comes to mind, gradually we are promoting a lot of indiscipline in the society.
Your job is to be independent, and indeed the police must not be interfered. Making the point that people interfere or people try to cover up for people who commit crimes, are you saying that you're challenged with that kind of situation? Anytime you arrest people, you get people coming from nowhere to come and do some cover-up?
That is not even really the case. We know that there's been several issues of mob justice, and even in the investigative process, you may sometimes be looking for one person or the other. And you will have people who really know those who were involved, but volunteering or even pointing out becomes a problem. I don't even want to be called. I don't even want to assist. I don't even want to get involved in the first place. So why? What should be my problem there? It is not me, it is not my brother. But remember, let us all remember that one day it could be you. So this is the kind of thing I talk about. If we are investigating, let us also not forget that before we even prosecute anybody, from the police, we don't have the judicial power. The judicial power does not rely with us. We need to prove beyond every reasonable doubt in courts. And we are doing that. It is sometimes long, and that is what most people actually do not believe in the criminal justice system. They believe that it is long, and I have suffered all sort of how do we call it? Abuses, even in the process. because going and coming here and there, have to seek for a lawyer, legal consultations and what have you.
It's so frustrating.
It is frustrating. It's inordinately long. So before you realize, people are peeved in one way or the other. They are incensed by one past event or what have you. So anytime the person also gets an opportunity like this, the person wants to vent all his anger. Let me just do it this one. After all, if the person is taken through the criminal justice system, justice may never come. We should also not forget that the wheel of justice is it grinds very slowly.
But I've seen people, even learned people, who say that if I take it to the police, they may not do justice to this issue. So what I'll do is I'll beat the person up because the person, one lady I know, a taxi driver smashed her car and she just slapped him. I asked her, why did you do that? She said, yes, if I take him to the police, they won't do anything. So I just have to slap him and move on. Isn't it more of a case of people losing confidence in the police than thinking that, okay, when they take him to the court, it will take so long a time and all of that?
Yes, I am saying so because the criminal justice system begins with the police. We are the physical representative of the state. And it begins with us, we start. But it's a process, you understand. The police does not dispense punishment. We cannot prescribe the punishment. The laws are there. We need to follow due process. So if somebody has committed a crime, the person needs to be taken through certain processes. Of course, where we need to be producing witnesses, where we need to prove, where we have to build a whole docket on that to be able to prove to the court that Mr. A or B has committed this crime. Otherwise, everybody who commits a crime has the right to innocence until the person is proven guilty, and the guilt of the person is proven in the court. So even we ourselves, we can't prove the guilt of the person. We can contribute with the gathering of the information to be able to send the person to court. And in the legal room, in the courtroom, that is where the person's case is tried. So if the person thinks that if I even go to the police, it's going to be a long process, that is the time most of us do not have. I don't even have the time. I don't want to go there. Tomorrow I have to come, I have to do this. So let me just do it my own way. But it is wrong. But
it looks like we're hearing more of these things. Recently, it was so many. Even yesterday, there was a clash between residents and the police. Some time ago, we heard in the eastern region where there was riots between residents and the police. The police even had to fold up from that area. Are you getting overwhelmed with the situation?
Yes, in fact, it's a worrying situation. I must confess, it is worrying, where people would have to resort to anything to be able to get justice, to do things their own way, you know. Yesterday, like this, the Somanya incident, we had some rioters mob going even into the police station to go and free people who had remanded in cells.
Imagine. And quite recently, we saw people also going to the court to...
So that is what I still talk about, the indiscipline. The indiscipline. And again, I can see also that we have a failure, whether I know who is responsible for promoting civil responsibility. Before, I was told that even in schools, we were studying civil education. And our parents, some of us who had the old system of education, would have to be taken through a lot of things that makes the person more patriotic. Reporting this to the police, even when the national anthem is blown, the person gets up, you know. So at every point in time, the emblem, the culture of the Ghanaian society is upheld. Now the respect for the elderly, the respect for state institutions, the respect for public, and every system is gradually grinding to a halt. And in fact, we all have to be worried. Now the police is being attacked in one way or the other. Could you imagine a whole Somanya that has a police station, and with a single patrol car that polices the whole area has been burnt? So the next time, we are even complaining of our logistics already, then we have people now burning. So if there is a problem where the police needs to respond to, definitely there's going to be a challenge in there. So who do we blame? You know, I think I don't have the answer, but I believe that it's high time all of us should begin to think about it, because we are doing our best. We are trying as much as we can, you know, even you, the media, stakeholders, civil society. But we go, and the moment the case goes to sleep, that is the end. We also don't talk about it. And we continue to see it more often. So I think there's more work that we have to do as a people.
New situations demand new measures. What measures are you putting in place? If this is recurring, frequently, in every 2 days, every 3 days, every week, we're hearing some of these things, it's alarming. If you, the police yourself, are being attacked, what of me, the ordinary human being? What measures are you putting in place to deal with these things, generally, once and for all?
Yes, generally, what I also believe is that we need to do the education the more. The consequences of the mob injustice, I will term it, you know, and the hazards, the kind of problem we will have as a result of this.
Is it not part of your job to educate the public on how to deal with some of these issues?
We do all the time. Like what we are doing now is one of them. There's been times that you've even found the public affairs department of the police service also doing their own bit of education.
I haven't seen much of that.
Oh, I have even written an article on mob justice, even in the papers. I used to write for the papers and what have you. And a number of times, I know our DSP, Freeman Tete, also used to write about that and all that. You know, but even our attitude to reading is also another thing. Maybe you should go
more than reading, because even article, it's not everybody in Ghana who can read and write. So if you write articles, maybe you should go beyond articles.
And the education, and how can we also reach the public? Apart from this, I think that maybe in our areas of responsibilities, like the various commands to the regional commands, we can also go there, you know, and speak to the people, the hazards. You know, I remember yesterday like this when we went to Ezedamaya, where they were also protesting against the deplorable state of the roads there. We spoke to them, and you could see at the end of the day, you know, they themselves saw the need of even assisting. You understand? So I think more of the education is needed. We need more of the education, telling the people what they are supposed to do, what they are not supposed to do. You understand? And this is what we all see.
In Densho Boase, for instance, we know investigations are ongoing, but we are having complaints from the commander that the military is interfering or making investigations difficult. He complains that the military presence is making the people leave the town, and so people who are supposed to provide information are not available. What are you doing about this?
For that place, a different jurisdiction. I may not have answers to that, and that's a whole regional command. And I don't see why we have to talk about it. I don't know. I have not heard that assertion by the regional command that the police, the military is giving them maybe a tough time, or they are not helping, you know.
Well, what he says is that the military presence is making investigations difficult.
But we all know that in society, whenever we all hear about military, everybody wants to find one place or the other to hide. Definitely.
But in this case, it was a military man that they killed him.
That's what I'm saying. That once they have done something, this is something that we should all expect, that people will flee.
Okay.
What should be the reprisals? Would they come back at us? What would they do? And this is a captain who has lost his life in a very cruel manner. And the authorities of the military would need to go there and visit. And you cannot say that because it has happened, they shouldn't go there. They have to, you understand? So their presence there, to me, I don't know how it interferes with investigations. I don't know. But I believe that as it is, anytime we hear about military, what are they supposed to do, what is likely, you know, for them to do, everybody is afraid for their life. Will they come back, you know, and all that. So that to me should explain for the reasons why probably people are not coming forward, and it is a ghost town. People are hiding, people are being fleeing.
And so if it happens, so what could happen?
Yeah, it becomes difficult. It becomes difficult, but I know that even with what we have, the videos, it can even help the police a lot, and in arriving the mystery surrounding the whole death of this officer. So to me, let us leave it for those who have the powers and who have even begun with investigations to finish and come up with what they have seen in the whole incident. And unfortunately, for all of us at least to also hear and have, you know, some conclusions to make that.
Almost all the time, ASP, it looks like the harm is usually caused before we even come to realize that, okay, he wasn't an armed robber, he wasn't a criminal after all. How do we protect ourselves as individuals? In his case, we're told that he kept telling them that I'm a military man, I'm not an armed robber, but yet they continued to lynch, burn him, and do whatever they wanted to do to him, hence his causing his death. How do we protect ourselves as individuals?
Yes. This thing can happen to anyone. Yesterday, I just imagined, what if I was the person? I said everything I had to, but still, it fell, or they fell on deaf ears. What am I supposed to do? I was just wondering, you know, and trying to find answers to such a question. But how can you help it? I believe that it is high time we ourselves, we as society, we as youth, we begin to recognize the havoc and the consequences of our action. If we do that, I believe that somebody out there, I remember the lady who was stripped naked in Kumasi like this. There was even one security man who was even trying to prevent them, you know, from even stripping her. And he was overpowered. But just imagine we had even had about 4 or 5 of such people, you know, would have been able to quell down the situation or bring it down to at least to a minimum level, and not for it to get to the extent in which it got. So still, you are very helpless in that moment.
Does it boil down to the police public ratio as to 1 policeman to how many people?
Oh, the UN recommended standard is 1 to 500.
And that's not what we are practicing
No. For now, we don't even have it. It's not really about the ratio to me. I think it has to be with the reorientation of our minds. You know, people need to change our attitude. At least this thing we should all take some lessons from this and change from the way we behave, especially when it comes to things like this. We don't know when it will happen to some of us. Because just imagine, whatever you said fell on deaf ears. Nobody listened to you. And I'll always quote Martin Luther King. He said, an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So if this is happening here today, tomorrow it will be somewhere. And it gets to a time where all of us will not have control. So to me, it is very difficult protecting yourself at that point. It is very difficult. And I have heard narrations of a lot of people who said they were nearly lynched. Anytime they hear about this, it takes their mind back to what happened to them. Can you just imagine? These are people who are well-meaning people who had things to do. And unfortunately, they find themselves at the other side, and you know, no explanation, because at that time, nobody even listens to you. Somebody comes from nowhere, he doesn't know what is happening.
And he joins.
He joins. You know, look at the block somebody carried.
To hit a human being.
To hit him. I was like, is he a snake? Even if it's a big snake, a cobra, were we going to use that block?
To kill it.
What is it? What has come over Ghanaians?
And whose job is it to reorient us to stop some of these things?
It is everyone. I believe,
but particularly the police.
The police, we are doing our own. The National Commission for Civic Education, we have civil society groups, the media. All of us should join the campaign. Let us start from somewhere. We are doing our bit. We will also do it. But we should not see it as the responsibility of one sector.
It should be a collective responsibility.
It should be a collective responsibility. The more we drum it, we'll all get to terms with it, and people begin to change. Because as I said, yes, it's a deviation. To me, it's a deviation, a total deviation.
To say more justice.
And this is not a Ghanaian society. To me, is it really happening in Ghana? We have heard it in the past, but to the extent with which it is happening now, it's appalling.
It's appalling. And that's ASP Fiatinge, Accra Region Police PRO. She says that we should all put ourselves into it. It's a collective responsibility. It's not only the police. We need to assist the police to curb this.